This is a high-end murder case that even the police find remarkable. A female college student in her 20s, she hurriedly married a man in his 50s right after graduation. Strangely enough, less than a month after their wedding, this full man was suffocated to death by the bees he raised. He was gruesomely found dead in a beehive. The man's face was covered in marks from the bees. A forensic expert deduced the time of death is on low temperature. The estimated time of death was between midnight and 2 a.m. No other external wounds were found on the man's body aside from the marks from the bees. There was obvious swelling in his throat. Therefore, the forensic expert initially judged that the man died from asphyxiation due to excessive bee venom based on the footprints and struggle marks at the scene. This appears to be the primary scene of the man's death. The police suspect this could very well be an accidental death. Meanwhile, Officer Xiaotian, who is knowledgeable about insects, noticing the bee's flying hat, says something was off. He immediately walked into the swarm, letting the bees surround him. The onlookers were all terrified by the sight, but Xiaotian, unfazed, picked up a bee. He told everyone that this type of bee is called the Italian wasp. It is very gentle and usually does not attack humans. Generally, they won't attack as long as you avoid the sensitive periods during and after nectar flow. Or if you don't intentionally harm them with fire, these wasps absolutely won't attack their keeper. Just then, the newlywed wife of the deceased came over to investigate. She said her husband's name was Wen Tao. He was an artist specializing in creating sculptures using beehives, and he had raised bees for many years without incident. However, just before the wedding, they had a full closure together. Husband Wen Tao had once demonstrated his beekeeping skills to everyone. Coincidentally, that time he was suddenly stung by these bees. Fortunately, it wasn't very serious at the time. They promptly went to the hospital and were soon fine. Xiaotian seemed to have realized something after hearing the widow's words. He took another officer to investigate several tents where the beehives were placed. Sure enough, Xiaotian found crucial evidence in one of the largest tents. He discovered that the lighting inside this tent was covered with green fabric. In contrast, the lights in the other tents were covered with red fabric. Xiaotian immediately took the green cloth to the widow. He asked her if her husband had red-green color blindness. The woman responded with surprise that he did. How strange, how did the police know that? Xiaotian was even more convinced of his hypothesis after hearing the woman's affirmative response. He told everyone that the reason the deceased was stung to death by bees this time was possibly related to his previous injury during the light filtration. Because some people exhibit a typical hypersensitive reaction after being stung by bees, this reaction is usually divided into an allergy phase and a hypersensitivity phase. As long as one was being stung again within 20 days between the two phases, they won't trigger a hypersensitivity reaction. Hypersensitivity reaction trigger too quickly, sometimes within just 2 minutes, and the consequences can be very severe. Nearby officers wondered what the green cloth could signify. Xiaotian explained. Feeding bees also must happen at night. To prevent alarming the bees during nighttime inspections, all nighttime lighting tools need to be covered with red fabric. This is because all bees are red-green colorblind. All lighting tools at night must be covered with red cloth. This is because all bees are red-green colorblind. Additionally, the structure of bee compound eyes renders whole red light as black to them. However, if this red cloth is deliberately replaced with green cloth, the deceased wouldn't distinguish between red and green, so if they turn on the light, the bees would become agitated by the sudden light, and they will attack the deceased wildly. Based on this, Xiaotian denses that this is likely a case of deliberate murder. In the conference room, the police discussed the clues found so far. Team leader Lu believes the murderer should know bee behavior well, and he is likely very familiar with the deceased. Thus, knowing that Lin Tao is red-green colorblind and that he was recently stung by bees, the results of the autopsy confirmed Xiaotian's judgment. The deceased died due to an anaphylactic reaction to bee venom. The police stated they questioned the beehive staff. They learned that the cloth on the light had been read 2 days ago. However, most of the surveillance in the beehive has narrow angles mostly facing the sculptures, with no clues available. Police had to bring the deceased's wife back in. Surprisingly, she revealed, the deceased had many affairs and had relations with several women. She only learned of this gradually after being with him. Team leader lucidly felt it was likely a crime of passion, so he directly asked the deceased's wife if she had any emotional entanglements with certain people. The woman hesitated for just a moment and then confessed that she once had a boyfriend. His name was Liu, senior from University. However, they haven't contacted each other since their breakup 6 months ago. Just then, Xiaotian left at the police station with an insect, claiming to have found an important clue. He told everyone this insect is called a ghost moth. He found it today while searching the deceased's beehives. He was puzzled, since the deceased had been using the beehive for so-called creative work. No accidents have happened in all these years. But why did it get stung by a bee while taking wedding photos? To clear his doubts, he went to inspect the bee house. Indeed, he found something suspicious inside the hive. The Luna moth is a natural enemy of bees. One Luna moth can suck up honey from 11 hives. Once it enters the hive, the queen bee and worker bee's productivity will be greatly affected. If it dies inside the hive, it blocks the entrance, forcing all the bees to escape. According to the staff at the bee house, they usually place a pesticide behind next to the hive door until in such cases, a Luna moth is unlikely to appear. Therefore, he suspected someone had deliberately placed it inside. As soon as he finished speaking, who happened to publish a paper on the Luna moth. With this lead, the police immediately brought Liu into the interrogation room. Facing the police questioning, Liu appeared innocent. He admitted he couldn't accept his beautiful ex-girlfriend marrying an older man. However, he also knew she grew up without a father, which is why Lantel won her heart. Later, he discovered that the so-called artist had made with it secretly. Feeling frustrated, he released the Luna moth into the hive on their wedding photo shoot day. Even so, he truly didn't commit murder. The police needed this, confirming he didn't have the time to commit the crime. They had to temporarily rule him out as a suspect.